Why do they drag them to Target? Or as you guys call it, Target. Johnny, you went to your mother back, I know Dad, get in the car, we're going to Target. And I tell middle school kids, be careful. They're trying to keep Targets open 24 hours a day. Mom finds a report card at 3 o'clock in the morning. You're going to Target. And people always ask me, Bobby, you've been doing this for 19 years. What are some of the craziest things you've seen around the country? I tell them, number one, I'm in Baltimore, Maryland. I drive through this neighborhood, no exaggeration. There's a street sign in the neighborhood that reads, slow children playing. And all I imagine is kids going through slow motion in that neighborhood. I'm in Montana. I'm in the eastern side of Montana. No exaggeration, a town of 500 people. The biggest building in the town is the fire department. I go by the fire department. I had to rub my eyes about 4 or 5 times. Right in front of the fire department on the building are the words, Lambert Fire Department. Same day fire service. No. I'll wait 2 days for my house to burn down. And then people always ask me, Bobby, come on, seriously, what's the craziest thing you've ever seen? I tell them it's on an airplane. I'm flying from Islip, New York into Philadelphia. I get on one of these smaller planes. It's a US Airways flight. Now, Bobby Petrocelli is a big boy. I got to sit in the emergency exit row because I'm a big boy. I need to spread out. To sit in the emergency exit row, there's 3 criteria. Number 1, you got to be 15 years old. Number 2, you got to handle a 50-pound door in case of an emergency. And in case of an emergency, you got to be willing to throw people off the plane. But every once in a while, no exaggeration, on these smaller US Airways flights, they have an extra warning sign. And it's glued to the tray table that folds down. I promise you, students, I have never laughed so hard in my life, especially on an airplane. Here's what the extra warning sign read. Warning. Please contact a US Airways crew member if you cannot, I repeat, cannot read, speak, or understand English. Okay? How would I read the sign in the first place? I graduated high school in Brooklyn, New York. I went all the way out to Tulsa, Oklahoma. From Brooklyn to Tulsa, Oklahoma, I traveled about 1,400 miles. I wanted to be like my uncle. My Uncle Rico was a professional baseball player for 15 years. It's a miracle I'm alive today. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I was a Boston Red Sox fan. Why? My Uncle Rico played for the Red Sox for 15 years. I wanted to be like him. My best friend in Brooklyn was a guy by the name of Bruno. That was his name. You hear the name Bruno, you think about a guy 6'5", 250 pounds. No, Bruno was 5 feet tall, 120 pounds. But he was a Yankee fan, I was a Red Sox fan. We used to battle it out all the time. But by the time I'm a senior in college, this dream's not happening. I'm not going further with a baseball career at Oral Roberts University. I couldn't hit the curveball. You don't hit the curveball, you go nowhere with a career, but I did get an education. I was a smart college student. I had the privilege of cramming a 4-year college education into 5 years. Why? I kept on switching my majors. You know my first major in college was French. Imagine a guy from Brooklyn teaching French. Hey, yo, parlez-vous français? My second major, underwater basket weaving, no future in it. I tell people I graduated college in the top 10% of the bottom third of my class. Started my senior year, a buddy of mine comes up to me, introduces me to a beautiful woman. Her name is Ava, but she's from Texas. He goes, Bobby, if you and Ava get together, you can have a great relationship. I'm thinking, how in the world am I going to get along with a girl from Texas? We talk different. I say, use guys. Ava says, y'all. We ever have children, they're going to say, yous all. Within a year after I graduate college, I get engaged to Ava. Students of Island Trees, the scariest thing I ever did when I got engaged, I went to the dictionary and I looked up the word engaged. Do you know the actual definition of engaged in the dictionary actually reads? To do battle with the enemy. Okay. So I look up the word mother-in-law. Big star next to it says, see the word engaged. Ava and I are engaged. Within a year later, we're married. We're married for 2 years. We move in our first house. Compared to where I grew up in Brooklyn, this was the home of my dreams. Oh my gosh, 4 bathrooms, 4 bedrooms, 2-car garage, dishwasher, microwave oven, fireplace. Brooklyn, the house I grew up in, 2 stories high. 5 of us shared 1 bathroom. My front yard in Brooklyn, no exaggeration, 3 feet by 4 feet. My backyard in Brooklyn, 5 feet by 6 feet. Texas, 200 by 300, 500 by 600. I had all this room. I'm married to Ava for 2 years and 6 months. I'm in the house for 2 months. This one Thursday night, I travel approximately 90 miles one way to coach in a football game. 90 miles one way to coach in a football game? You gotta be kidding me. Almost 200 miles round trip. Every school in Brooklyn was 90 seconds away. I'm traveling 90 miles one way, and to top it off, I'm coaching high school football in front of 20,000 fans. No exaggeration. The town would shut down, and everybody and their grandmother would come to a high school football game in Texas, not like Brooklyn. I played my high school football in Brooklyn in front of 20 fans, but they were faithful. That's right, when our games in Brooklyn were over, our 20 fans always came on the field to beat up our opponents. I know some of you guys play football, you think you're tough. Let me tell you how tough my high school football team was in Brooklyn. On defense, we played no games. As soon as we sacked the quarterback, we went into the stands and sacked his family. We got to the root of the problem. I get home this Thursday night, I walk in the kitchen, I look over Ava's shoulder, there on the table, my second love of life, a big bowl of pasta. Now please understand, I'm Italian on my dad's side. I'm Swedish on my mom's side. You're looking at the original Swedish meatball, just so you know that. But being Italian and from Brooklyn, I promise you, I have no family in the mafia. Number 2, I feel sorry for all these beautiful people sitting in front of me. Why? For the last 8 minutes, they've been experiencing it like all Italians from Brooklyn. I spit when I talk. This girl's going, I know. And number 3, I fulfill the major criteria of being Italian and from Brooklyn. Cross my heart. I promise you, I really do have a cousin Vinny, just so you guys know that. Ava and I finish eating. She talks to me about 2 things. 1, can we go Thanksgiving shopping this weekend? Because number 2, your family's coming from New York to Texas for Thanksgiving. I agree with Ava. She says goodnight to me. I watch a little more television. About 20 minutes later, I crawl into bed next to her. I kiss her on the cheek. I tell her I love her. She mumbles she loves me back. I roll over on my back, and oh my goodness, every boy and man in this room will understand my excitement. There's moonlight on the ceiling. Fellas, you know where I'm going with this. I'm a married man. There's a full moon behind my house. It shines moonlight through my bedroom window once a month, shines on the ceiling. Oh my goodness, as a married man, laying next to my beautiful wife alone in bed at night, there's moonlight on the ceiling. I'm a man. I know what's important to me. Forget the romance, I'm a man. I throw up both of my hands and make animal figures on the ceiling. After my last who knows what, I check on Ava. She's out like a light. I close my eyes, and the next thing I know, island trees, I wake up approximately 1 hour later. Instead of being in my bed or in my bedroom, I am sitting, slumped over in the dining room window, which is the next room over. My first thought is dining room window, middle of the night. Looking for more pasta, 3 bowls were not enough. Starting on breakfast at 12:30 in the morning. Sleepwalking, I step off the ledge. I take about a step forward and I bang into something. I'm thinking, okay, the dining room table's real close to the window. I reach out to touch the table. It's actually hot to the touch. There's a haze, there's a fog, there's a smoke all the way around me. And I begin to clear out the haze, the fog, and the smoke. And I now realize the light to the right of me is not from the moon.